Boom, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Miguel and you're watching Miguel EDC. Today I have a review video for you guys. You know how we do here in the channel. You saw the title and thumbnail. We're reviewing the Boker Plus. This is the Warhawk Boker Strike. This is the Boker Strike model with the Warhawk skin on it. And yeah, we're gonna be getting into it here about this knife, everything you need to know, all the details, measurements, stats, numbers, do's, don'ts, pros, cons, all that good stuff with this knife. So let's go ahead and without further ado, jump right into it. I did an unboxing on this knife maybe about almost, let's say, has it been a year already? Maybe close to 9-10 months, maybe a year ago. And I have been EDCing this knife here and there all throughout, obviously, this, ever since I've had it, ever since I unboxed it in the channel. This knife is a button automatic here, so it's an automatic knife. It is there's two types of automatic knives. There is the out the front knives. Those are the ones you basically activate and the blade comes out the front, hence the name. This is an out the side automatic. That's because the blade is obviously coming out the side. Bam, look at that. Might sound obvious, but I know there are people who watch the channel who may not be as familiar, and not that long ago I was also not very familiar with all this terminology, so it is definitely good to know. It is definitely good to touch on those points here as a quick introduction. So what do we have going on with this guy? We have a D2 blade going on. This one is coated with this sort of World War II fighter jet type of shark face going on both sides, which is pretty neat. It's very unique to this knife. I really like that. When I saw that right at the beginning, I was like, I'm definitely gonna go after that knife. We have some steel liners and aluminum handles going on this guy, so that is pretty neat as well. It's a little bit on the, I say a little bit substantial weight to it, not too light, not too heavy, but a good balance. This guy has an older brother, or a cousin if you will, and that is the Boker Kalashnikov. Now, the Boker Kalashnikov, also another automatic knife, out the side automatic. I did a review on this guy not that long ago in the channel, so if you want to check that out, I'll put a card right here in the corner. Learn all about the Boker Kalashnikov. But the Boker Strike is a newer version from Boker, and you can see where they actually improve a lot from the Kalashnikov, and we're going to be getting into all the meats and potatoes and everything there is to know. So let's get a quick measurement out the way and some quick comparisons. This guy is larger than the Kalashnikov. I believe it comes in at exactly 8 inches of total length. The blade is about 3.5 and the actual cutting edge is about 3 3/8. Those are your measurements. Let's do a quick side-by-side next to the previously mentioned Boker Kalashnikov, and you can see the blade is about the same size, but the handle is just a hair bigger right there. Let's do the typical comparisons we do here in the channel. Right next to the PM2, Spyderco PM2, and the Spyderco Para 3 right there. Just a quick comparison on those two. Just a little bit larger than the Para 3, and definitely a little bit shorter than the PM2. Let's go ahead and bring the Demco 80-20.5 right there on the clip point version. How about next to the Demco 80-20.5 in the Shark's Foot version right there? It's definitely a little bit of a longer knife. Yep, longer blade, longer handle, but not by much. Again, in that medium knife sort of category. Let's check against some other budget button locks, which are the Sencut Crawley and the Sencut Saxy. Let's take a look right there. Definitely very comparable in size. I want to say exactly the same size as these two. You guys be the judge right there, let me know. And last but not least, of course, we have to check against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2, right? Rat Model 2. So Rat Model 2, of course, is a smaller knife, and the Rat Model 1 is the larger one of the two. And yeah, it's somewhere in between, right? Larger than the Rat Model 2, smaller than the Rat Model 1, more comparable to the 1 than the 2. All right, well, at least that gives you an idea kind of where it stands as far as quick comparisons there. So how's the action on this guy? So you can see, right, it fires very quickly. Let's do a slow motion right here. Is it as loud as the Kalashnikov? No, it's a little bit on the quieter side, which, may be a plus for you, depending on your taste. Of course, the Kalashnikov fires, it's a lot louder. Right, so a little bit more intimidating there in the sound department. But yes, deploying this guy is a breeze. You can deploy this guy over and over and over again. The button on this guy is also a little bit raised as compared to the button on the Kalashnikov. So that was some feedback that they received. I guess some folks with gloves were having a difficult time pressing the button on the Kalashnikov, whereas in the Strike it's a lot easier, right? It's definitely raised out from the handle scales right there. So that's a plus. And of course, the one bit that's also different is that locking mechanism. Red means the blade is live, so it can be unlocked, whereas if you slide it forward or slide it up, it means that the blade is locked, right? So it is active. You cannot deploy this in your pocket. You got that peace of mind. The only one thing that maybe could be a sunk, it depends on your taste. It's a little bit rattly, right? Take a listen. Kind of going about carrying the knife, you don't really hear that rattling unless you really shake it. But again, that might be something that if you're really picky might be an issue for you. It is not for me. What does it look like in the pocket? And if you put it like that, you know, that eye just lets you know there's something hiding right there. I think it'd be a little bit odd, not able, based on the pocket clip, I'm not able to really make it stay. Let's do some height and length comparison here next to the Spyderco PM2, next to the pair of 3, right? Definitely the Spydercos there are going to be a little bit wider there because of the Spidey hole. I think maybe the thickest portion of the Strike is going to be this section right here. That's the thickest portion there. So just again, some size comparisons, right? When they're folded in the pocket, what they look like. Here they are next to the Demco 80-20.5 in both blade configurations. I think the Demcos are still a little bit wider there in the pocket. Next to the Sencut Crawley at the top and the Sencut Saxy at the bottom. It's more comparable to the Saxy, right? As far as that height goes there. The Crawley is going to be a little bit more on the slimmer side. And last but not least, the, of course, Rap Model 1 and Rap Model. Yeah, it's going to compare a lot more to the Rap Model 1. No doubt about that. Rap Model 2 is a little bit, definitely much slimmer by comparison. Since we're here, let's compare it to the Boker Kalashnikov, and as you can see, they're both pretty similar there as far as their overall size. Very comparable. What do we have going on this guy? Well, we have a D2 blade going on here. D2 blade, and it has this, like I mentioned earlier, angry shark looking face with the teeth and the angry eye and everything on both sides, which is pretty neat. If I could turn my hand a little bit, say like down this side, there you go. Take a look there. I like that the handle scales, they are very grippy. I like this diamond pattern going on, and then you have these sort of indentations going on around 6 on each side. So again, that adds to the grip there. Something that again might be right up your alley here if you're not a fan of the individual finger cutouts on the Kalashnikov. That's either love it or hate it on the Kalashnikov. They actually did away with that on the Strike, so you still have the index cut out here as a guide, but all the other fingers, you know, kind of grip onto the rest of the handle with one nice curved line right there. And I gotta tell you, it's ergonomically speaking, it feels pretty good on the hand. No complaints there. There is some jimping going on at the top here, so if you wanted to kind of, you know, get some good grip on there, your thumb is really gonna dig into that jimping, and you're gonna have some good grip there. I mean, this knife, I want to say probably a little bit more, arguably a little bit more tactical than the Kalashnikov, right? You guys let me know in the comments. Definitely feels that way in the hand. Pocket clip on this guy, yeah, they definitely did a much better job on this one compared to the Kalashnikov. The Kalashnikov, we said in the review video, goes for miles and miles. And then it has that going on, right? All of those curves and mountains and peaks and valleys going on right there. Whereas the Boker Strike is a lot much of a cleaner design, straightforward, you know, nice little straight line dip and then a little race here to catch your pocket, which is pretty good. Maybe a sunk, the fact that it's not as deep carry as the Kalashnikov. Maybe they could have raised the clip a little bit more. It also has a lanyard hole as well, which could have been either moved to the right side a little bit more or perhaps been done away with altogether, if I'm being honest. Not really a huge fan of lanyard holes or anything on my knives. I don't really use them that much, at least now, not up until this point. But if you are, then more power to you. It's there. You have that to look forward to. What does it look like? Carry profile right here against the brother Kalashnikov. They are pretty comparable. I think maybe the Strike on the left there is just a hair thicker. We'll do a couple more right here just for comparison's sake next to the PM2, right? Very comparable to the PM2. Demco 80-20.5 is a little bit slimmer. The Crawley from Sencut is just about the same. And last but not least, the Ontario Rap Model 2, the smaller one, is going to be a little bit slimmer by comparison. Some black spacers going on here to carry on the design on this guy. And this guy is not milled at all. There's no milling going on in this knife at all. Which kind of leads me to the next question. It definitely feels a little bit heavier than the Kalashnikov. So the strike, my guess is going to be somewhere in the 4s, maybe 4 ounces or so. Let's get a quick weight check on this guy. All right, here we go. 4.7. 4.7. For comparison's sake, that Kalashnikov was 3.7. And this one is like another ounce more. 4.6. 4.6. So sometimes you gotta weight them twice just to make sure. All right, are we all zeroed out? Let's double check. One last time. 4.6. There we go. Let's get a quick blade stock thickness on this guy while we're here. Thickest portion is going to be 0.11 inches. Tapers down to the tip, which is going to be, a very, very slim 0.03 inches right there. While we're here, let's do a quick hardware check on this guy. As always, my tools are highly recommendable. They're linked down below in the description. It does help out the channel at no extra cost to you. They're part of the Strabito tool set. My guess here is that we're gonna have a very similar situation like we saw with the Kalashnikov. TA in the pivot, it looks like, and T6 on the body screws. Kind of looks that way. Let's see. TA on the pivot, as you can see, and then T6 on these body screws. Also on the pocket clip, same situation. All right, T6 everywhere except the pivot, which is T8. I mentioned earlier this is a dagger blade, which is the same blade style on the Kalashnikov here. It is very symmetrical. Basically, you have a line going on right in the middle, and I just kind of do this for you to kind of see, right? Line going down right in the middle, and then it has like a convex grind, so to speak, going on both, both sides. It is only sharpened on one side, right? It's not sharpened on this side here, sharp side on one end. It is not sharp on the other. All right, for comparison's sake, here's my Ria XO M right here, and this one has a dagger blade, same blade style in CPM 3V, and this one is actually sharpened on both sides. So sharp on that end and sharp on this end, whereas the strike is only sharp on one side. D2 going on here, again, same very decent corrosion resistance, not the most corrosion resistant knife out there, but it does a decent job. This one is coated with this black paint, so as long as you keep it away from humidity, it should do pretty good, and you keep it clean, things like that from time to time. The scales, we have steel liners on this guy with the aluminum handles. So what you see here in green are the aluminum handles, and what you see here in black are those steel liners going on there. It also has the same plunge lock as the Kalashnikov, and basically I like the fact that it is painted yellow, so it'll be easier for you to see. That's holding the blade in place, which is holding a lot of resistance, so the moment you push the button, boom, right? That blade opens up really, really quick. I'll do it one more time so you can see it in slow motion. Boom, just like that. You ultimately have a heavy duty knife right here. This is a knife that you can beat to the ground, use and abuse nonstop, because honestly, as long as you're not trying to keep it pristine like I am right here with this particular one for collection purposes, I'm trying to collect this guy, as part of like special skin along with my Kalashnikov and the Desert Warrior and all that. But I mean, if you buy one as a user, honestly, you're not going to be disappointed. This is a knife that you can beat the absolute heck out of it, and it will still keep on going for a long, long time. So that is the reliability, the basically reputation that these out the side Boker automatic knives have, and this one is no different than that. One maybe sunk that I have is the fact you do have tip up, which comes like that by default. That's my preferred method. You have tip up and tip down for right-handed users, but nothing going on for left-handed people. So they could have maybe done something there to keep their left-handed folks in mind. This is one of Blade HQ's most recommended automatic knives. That along with the Boker Kalashnikov, these are absolute tanks of automatic knives. The action is very, very duplicatable, or you can basically repeat the same action over and over again. You can do it one-handed. Just know that you're gonna be your hands are gonna be putting in your index finger mainly, then your thumb, putting in some extra work just to close it one-handed. The one thing that I do miss when I'm carrying an automatic knife is it's not as fidgety as you may think. It's not as fidgety as let's say a button lock, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull my Pyrite here for example, right? So with a button lock, it's not automatic. If I press a button, nothing happens. So I actually have to flick my wrist in order for it to open and close. And with that, you have a lot of different deployment options, thumb deployment, reverse deployment, button deployment, Whereas with an automatic knife, just have the one button and the one deployment option, and that's pretty much it. So that's maybe the only thing to keep in mind. If you're considering an automatic knife, just know you do have the one deployment option, and that's about it. So perhaps not the most fidgety knife out there, but you know, it's not trying to be. It's trying to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to be very reliable. Let's check the right here. You guys can see right through it. That blade looks like it's very, very well aligned right there. No blade sway in one way or the other, which is good. Is there any blade play? Not really. This feels as sturdy and as strong as it can possibly be. If you have any play on your Boker Strike, of course, you can tighten up the pivot screw just a tiny bit. It is only on one side, so you should be able to tighten it up with a T8 drill bit. All right, this wouldn't be a review video if you don't do a quick paper cutting test. And again, I haven't really EDC this knife as much as I have some of my other knives, but I definitely have EDC'd it here and there. So it has a pretty good edge, very close to factory based on the use that I have given it over the last year or so, mainly opening and cutting boxes and opening packages and cutting through materials like that. No hardcore heavy survival tactical use in any sort of way. But with that in mind, let's just see how it cuts. You guys be the judge. Here we go. All right, off to a good start. I might catch from time to time there. It is a thick blade, so towards the middle it gets pretty thick, so that might have to do with the cutting performance. It's not like, let's say, a PM2 when you have a flat grind going all around. So it starts from this very thick portion down to a very thin edge. Not the case here because of that dagger blade shape, right? It gets really thick in the middle portion of the blade. So not the most liciest blade right there, but I would assume in a tactical scenario, you don't have to worry about your blade breaking on you or something like that. Right, catches there a little bit. All right, let's keep going. Just a little bit more. All right, does it need to be resharpened? You guys let me know in the comments. Go ahead and actually rate it on a scale from 1 through 10. Maybe need to strap it a little bit more, because it might be around time for it to get sharpened. Oh, you guys can see right there. It is. It has a bitey edge, right? It's just how it carries the slicing, right? How it carries the slicing, because that blade is thicker in the middle. It doesn't necessarily help with the slicing, but you know, you can see where that blade shape actually is more for the pokey type of action, hence the tactical aspect of it, if anything. So something to keep in mind there. If slicing and dicing is your number one priority with your knife, you might want to look into other blade styles, right? Something that carries perhaps a flat grind from top to bottom. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the Boker Strike automatic knife out the side from Boker Plus, right? You guys let me know in the comments. Are you looking to pick yourself one of these? Have you been considering just perhaps owning an out the side automatic? Do you already own one? Let me know in the chat. Are you considering a different make and model? Also, let me know if you want to see a review on any other different knife. If you prefer the Boker Kalashnikov over the Strike, right? Which one would you choose out of these two? What is your preference here between these two Boker automatic knives? Let me know, guys. Hope you guys really enjoyed the review today. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If this is your first time checking out the channel, please consider subscribing. I make all kinds of videos of knives I like and don't like, and I share all kinds of EDC gear content. So if you're stopping by for the first time, just hit that subscribe button on your way out. Guys, if you made it to this end, you guys are the real MVPs. Love you all, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.